sent you the article. And that was really written because I found that men tell each other what's coming along, but women never know. And so that I kind of used all my years of experience to try and reflect on the many different aspects. But I think perhaps the most important one, and you'll find it in the article if you read it, is that women in general do things differently. In other words, they choose different topics than men. They tend to collaborate, network, and work together with other women. They mentor and nurture the people around them. They care about the environment in which they work. And they tend to be more subjective. Now, of course, that's a generalization, but it was reassuring to me when I heard it, but I didn't hear it until I'd been in academia for about 10 years. And it just felt right because it felt like how I liked to do things. So women do things differently. I said to Naz, maybe I should tell you a little bit about where I come from. So when I was in medical school, there were 6 women in the medical school class because there was a quota. And of course, because there were those 6 women, they were really smart and very cool women. And so we did somewhat join together. But it's incredible to me to see how things have changed. And the very fact that there's a dean like Naz, and in every school now, there are these deans where they have to actually take into consideration these issues. There were stressors back then. I actually was in medical school and training during the Vietnam War. My husband was in Vietnam being shot at, and I had these 2 little kids to take care of. So there were stressors back then as well. I'm not sure they're quite the same as being in isolation. And certainly many other things have changed. But I want to make 4 particular points. And one is just keep your options open. I mean, keep several things going on so that as time passes, you have other places to turn to. Get some paid help. The idea that you can do everything and run a household, and particularly if you have little kids, forget it. My entire salary went to pay for it, and we lived off my husband's salary. I mean, it was just, you have to have help. The third is multiple mentors. So people talk about their mentor, but you need a mentor for things at home. You need a mentor for how to recreate. You need a mentor for your area. You may need several mentors for your area. But when you turn out then to be a mentor yourself, you realize that it actually is nice when people tell you thank you. So for your mentors, every one of them, from the people who help you figure out how to run your household to the people who help tell you to how to run your lab. I somehow or other, I grew up in this very Protestant ethic family, and I was taught to say thank you. And I realized that not everybody congratulates or says thank you, and that it really matters. I mean, I'm kind of blown away when I said congratulations, and the person just is overwhelmed. So the last point I really want to make is stop and reflect. In other words, once a week, once a month, once a year. And the real recommendation is take a whole day off once a year and think through your projects. Because
thank you.
So what will happen is that you set out these 5 things you want to do. And when you come back a year later, you've only done 3 of them, but you've done 2 other things. But you have to stop and think. So the whole concept of taking time to reflect is really important in order to just feel like you know what's going on in your life. One of the recommendations in that article is for you to be on 3 committees. And the reason I think that that's really useful is you learn how the system works. So again, I think the men tend to talk to each other, but you need to learn how the system works. So you want to be on a committee in your department, you want to be in a committee in the institution, and you want to be in a committee in your community. But you only stay on it for 3 years. So 3 committees, 3 years to learn how the system works. So I think I'm probably running out of time, but I want to share one of my other things that is in the article, and that is the 5 goods. So you have to have good organization. I mean, you just can't do all the things we have to do without good organization. You have to have good help in each of those areas. And I'm particularly emphasizing at home because somehow it seems like women think they can go home and do a full job at home, and you just can't do it. You have to have a good partner, somebody who actually supports you, not competes with you, but truly supports you and your decisions. You have to have good health. I mean, if you get sick or if you have chronic problems, it is a problem, and you should give yourself a break. And you have to have good luck. I feel like I have had good fortune because I worked my butt off. But in fact, I have been so fortunate over time. And I think having that sense of being fortunate with many, many challenges really takes you a long way. So good luck to you. I think I'll stop there.
Thank you, Judith. Just a quick question in the chat. What do you mean by community? Is that the academic community? And also why limit the 3 years? Why limit it just to 3 years?
Well, first of all, the community. No, I mean the broader community. Your neighborhood, an area of interest that you volunteer for, but the broader community. And 3 years is really to give yourself more experience. In other words, in 3 years, you learn how.
She was having trouble with her internet. Maybe we'll come back to her after. Why don't we go on to Lisa, and we'll come back to you, Judith, if you can hear me. Go ahead, Lisa.
Hi, everyone. I should be better prepared to manage my stress and family responsibilities for this, but I have a few little notes. We thought that it was really interesting that on the website for this event, it has our scientific bios and not our family bios. And I think this is about managing family responsibilities. So we all thought that we'd give you a quick family bio, our sort of personal bio, rather than our scientific bio. So although, Naz, I forgot that, yeah, I'm no longer the graduate program director in neuroscience, but I am the UBC health advisor, sort of your CIHR delegate for those of you that are in that stream. So I have 2 kids, they're 22 and 24, and a husband who actually lives in Edmonton, so that's always a little challenging, and a father who lives very close, who's 84, 85, and I've been shopping for him, stuff like that during the pandemic. I had a baby in my postdoc at the very end of my postdoc and came with a 4-month-old and then had my daughter. I decided that if I got a major grant like an NSERC or a CHR, that would be the time to have a baby. Don't do that. That is very bad advice, but that's what I did. I got an NSERC and then immediately got pregnant with my daughter. So it was really challenging. I really wanted to wait. With a 4-month-old, I thought that was a little bit tough. I wanted to have this full 6 months, but the head of my department was not supportive. So basically he said, come now or don't come at all. And so I had no choice. I had to come with the 4-month-old, and they made me teach 2 classes right away, one being grad stats. That was really fun to do. Anyway, it was learning by fire, trial by fire. Before I had my second, actually somebody who was my mentor at the time said to me, you can't have another baby. And I said, why not? And I'll just disclose it was a she, said, because if you have another baby, then you can't really be an academic. And I think that, people talk about that balance all the time of, the work-life balance. And Joanne Weinberg gave me the best advice ever. And she's a professor emerita in anatomy or cellular physiology, whatever you guys call yourself now. And she said, there's no such thing as work-life balance. Never seek it. There is just no point. And she's absolutely right. She said, sometimes your work's going to take over. You've got a grant due and you just got to do that. And sometimes family's going to take over because, somebody's sick and you have to drop everything and be with your sick child or your sick parent or whatever.